Long before forests, before animals, before even the air we breathe today existed in its current form, Earth was a vastly different world. The skies were thick, heavy, and unfamiliar. Oceans dominated the surface, stretching endlessly beneath a dimmer sun. And on land there was almost nothing, just rock, wind, and silence. But hidden within this ancient world, something small and almost invisible was beginning to change everything. The first green life on Earth did not look like plants as they are known today. There were no trees, no flowers, no grass. Instead, the earliest forms of plant-like life were microscopic, living in the oceans, billions of years ago. Among them were cyanobacteria, tiny organisms capable of something extraordinary. They could capture sunlight. Through a process now known as photosynthesis, these organisms use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to produce energy. But in doing so, they release something that would forever alter the planet. Oxygen first. This oxygen did not accumulate in the atmosphere. Instead, it reacted with elements in the oceans, particularly iron. Over immense periods of time, this process created vast deposits of iron oxide, now found in layered rock formations across the world. But eventually, the balance began to shift. Around 2.4 billion years ago, in what scientists call the Great Oxygenation Event, oxygen began to build up in the atmosphere. For many existing life forms, this was catastrophic. Oxygen was toxic to the anaerobic organisms that had dominated Earth for billions of years. Entire ecosystems disappeared. Yet this transformation also made something new possible. With oxygen in the atmosphere, a protective ozone layer began to form, shielding the planet's surface from harmful solar radiation. This allowed life to move into new environments, including eventually onto land. But the transition was not immediate. For millions of years, life remained largely confined to the oceans. Early algae continued to evolve, forming more complex structures and spreading across shallow marine environments. These organisms were still simple, but they were laying the groundwork for something far greater. The move to land required major changes. Water had always supported life, providing buoyancy, protection, and easy access to nutrients. On land, these advantages disappeared. Any organism attempting to survive there had to deal with drying out intense sunlight and unstable surfaces. Scientists believe that certain groups of green algae were the ancestors of land plants. These organisms began living in shallow water near shorelines, where they were occasionally exposed to air. Over time, they developed adaptations to survive these conditions. Eventually, some made the leap. The earliest land plants were small and simple, similar to modern mosses and liverworts. They had no true roots, no vascular systems, and no ability to grow tall. Instead, they stayed close to the ground, absorbing water directly through their surfaces. Despite their simplicity, their impact was enormous. As these plants spread across the land, they began to alter the surface of the planet. Their presence helped break down rocks, contributing to the formation of soil. This process, combined with the accumulation of organic material, created a foundation for future ecosystems. At the same time, they continued to perform photosynthesis. More plants meant more oxygen. Gradually, the atmosphere changed again. Oxygen levels increased, supporting the evolution of more complex life forms. The planet was becoming more hospitable, more dynamic, and more alive. Over millions of years, plants evolved new features. Vascular systems allowed them to transport water internally. This enabled vertical growth, leading to taller structures that could capture more sunlight. The first forests eventually appeared. These early forests were unlike anything seen today. They were made up of strange primitive plants with no true leaves towering above the ground in open formations. Species like early tree ferns and lycophytes dominated these landscapes. Their presence transformed the planet on an even larger scale. Roots stabilized soil, reducing erosion. Plant material accumulated in vast quantities. Eventually, plants diversified, adapted, and spread across every continent. They shaped climates, influenced weather patterns, and created habitats for emerging life forms. Without them, animals could not exist. Every breath of oxygen, every ecosystem, every chain of life traces back to those first green organisms that began capturing sunlight billions of years ago. They were small, silent, almost invisible, but they changed the planet forever. What began as microscopic life in ancient oceans became the foundation of everything that followed. The world as it exists today, rich with forests filled with life and sustained by complex ecosystems, is the result of that transformation. A transformation driven not by force or movement, but by light and the quiet power of green life.